Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Innovation Impact Makers, where we speak with people making a quiet impact in the world of innovation. My guest today is Iftah Levy. Iftah is the CEO of Able Intelligence. Able Intelligence is a company working in the field of Industry 4.0. Iftah, welcome to the program. Firstly, I'd like to ask you, please explain what Industry 4.0 is for everyone listening and watching.
Yes, so if we're looking on the industry at all, from the revolution of the first revolution back on the 18th century, there is a lot. The industry is involved, and in the last 20 years, there is the fourth generation of evolvement, which is what we call Industry 4. But what does it mean? It means we now have the data. We have all the manufacturing data that was in the brain of the people. Now it's became more digital, and that gives us a lot of capabilities. We can better monitor, we can control, we can have edge device, we can analyze, and we can be much more efficient. So Industrial 4 is all about taking the data, using it, and create autonomous system that can use the data and act better, first to empowering the current operator, but in the future it's also will be enabled to get more autonomous operation and more efficient operation for all.
What aspects of manufacturing does it include? Does it include supply chain, logistics, or is it just on the machines?
Yeah, so it's really concentrate on the machine, on the process, on the production floor. From the time that I'm getting a new, what we call production order, I need to produce something, to the time that it's getting out from the plant. But obviously today, if you think about that, it's all connected, because I need to make sure that I have the right material there when I'm producing. And also I have to make sure that I have the right shipment or the right product that I'm producing from the sales process. So everything is connected, but really Industry 4, it's all about what's happening in the manufacturing floor. How can I make the process from getting the order to ship it as much as transparent and efficient?
Spent part of your career working in companies Industry 4.0. Can you explain how you got into the field and what you actually did up until you started your own company?
It's very interesting, because from when I was a kid, I really like, the industry, all the process manufacturing. But after I learned, in information system engineering, I went into semiconductor industry. So I spent most of my time in the semiconductor industry. And the semiconductor industry, everything is automated, but you don't see the product. So I want to feel the product. This is why I have my passion to say, okay, this is very interesting what's happening in semiconductor. It's amazing industry, and it's exploding now. What's happening with the traditional one? I want to see, why they are, you're going to a plant, it's look the same as it's looked 20 years ago when I was a kid. Nothing dramatically was changing, and that was why I get, okay, let's try to make them as much as autonomous, as much as advanced. There is technology there, so let's use it. And this is why about 8 years ago, I moved into a startup of process optimization. We took the IoT data and we provide insight to the plant, to the process engineer, to the operator, to make the process much more efficient. So I have quite a nice journey in that startup. We were acquired later by Augury, which is one of the leading Industrial 4 companies. They were focusing on predictive maintenance, and it's working together with process optimization, because predictive maintenance is just one part of the plant. But if you think about from a management perspective, I need to make sure that machines are working all the time, but I want to make sure that there is also the right process and the right product. So it's combination. That's why we acquire. I've been there as a general manager of the process health, what we call the division of process optimization. But I have, then I realized, okay, technology is always changing. Maybe we should focus on the same area. Maybe it's not just, just doing optimization. I think the biggest problem today in the industry is the expert. The industry are losing the expertise. People the generation that used to be in manufacturing is retiring. It's very hard to get the right people today. And this is one of the biggest issues today. And whenever we went into a plant, they say, okay, it's nice to have optimization, but actually my problem, I don't have the right people. This is my real problem. And this is what led me to, okay, let's focus on that problem. Obviously, you want to optimize, and everybody wants to have everything, much cheaper and get more money. That's okay. But the real issue is how we bridge, how we take this knowledge that's sitting on the brain of the people that are going to retire and take it into the system that can manage it and can share it and can leverage it for the new operators that are coming. So this is why we established Able.
You've gone into Able Intelligence. I want to ask a few more questions about that. But what triggered you to become an entrepreneur? You were working for a pretty well-known company. Augury is very well-known. What triggered you to go into entrepreneurship?
Wow, I don't know. I mean, I think that there is no week in my life that I didn't think about doing something by my own. I think that I didn't feel that it's the right timing. I didn't feel that it's the right. I thought that for me it's better to be in a company to create an impact. But I really have, because and all the time I saw many people that doing that and says, and I didn't have the right courage and the right setup for myself. But I really believe that, I have something inside myself will say, yeah, you must do it, you must do it. And I like it, it's wow, it's very windy and, up and downs, but it's amazing and it's mine. I'm not working for other, yeah.
Tell us about some of those up and down challenges.
Wow, it even says, okay, it's great. First, you need to raise money. So you're getting a lot of no's.
That's a common thing. When I ask founders, what is your biggest challenge? That's always the first answer. Need to raise money. But there are many other challenges. That's a big one.
Yeah, that's a big one. But also to focus on the right problem and to make sure that you're doing the right validation of the problem. That's a real issue. You get a lot of no's, you get a lot of contradiction messages from the people that you are talking with. I'm talking with a lot of plant managers, of people in the industry, of CEO, of VP operation, and you're not getting the same feedback all the time. People, and you need to uncover what is the real problem they are facing and to make sure that the problem that you are chasing is the right problem. Obviously, after that, you need also to deliver. Okay, maybe it's the right problem, but do you think that you have a solution that fits for that problem? So all that, all that thought and mechanism, it's very hard for, you changing your ideas 5 times a day. I'm working with my co-founder, Kirill, which is amazing. But we all the time talking about product strategy and what is the right solution. And there is a new technology. And what about competition? All that stuff. It's not easy to find the right path to start with.
Is that within the same company that it's very hard for them to define the challenge, or is it like across different companies? Because something I'm coming across that many companies want to innovate, but they don't necessarily know how to express what they want to innovate. It's very hard for them to define this is what we need to do and to get it out of them. Tell me more about that. Is it the same company? Or before we get into Able Intelligence, I assume your technology fits into different machinery and that you've worked out. But this is a big challenge. If you're working on one company that makes machinery for one thing, and then you have another company which works on machinery for another thing, what challenges are you facing?
If you ask a person, if you ask a stakeholders or someone that maybe will be your customer, what is the problem? It depends on which day you are asking him. So the way to really uncover what is really the problem that he's facing is to start to ask him question about his routine, his day-to-day issue, and get into the details of what happened yesterday and what happened last week, what is usually happening. Really uncover the lower level, because if you ask people, they will have different opinion. Even in the same company, they will not see the same problem. And eventually you need to do that routine of getting really what is the real problem and how much they are willing to pay to that problem. Okay, this is also important because sometimes it's a real problem. Okay, what is the cost impact of that problem? Okay, how much it costs you that you're not solving that? So there is a lot of stuff to uncover, and you see it all over. So it's in between the same company, even the same people, you can get a different opinion in different timing. So that's kind of our job for us to find the right path.
Before we go into Able Intelligence and the specific solution you're providing, you mentioned about they don't know their bottom line, like how much it's actually costing them. But it seems to me in Industry 4.0, it's not necessarily how much it's costing them as much as how much they can save, which also affects the bottom line. Is that correct?
Correct. I think it's both. For if you take usually, I mean, kind of a simple line that producing, I don't know, cereal. Okay, obviously they are, I mean, we have one of the pilot line that we are working with, okay? They have about 12% waste, okay? So you can save cost, okay? But every product they are producing, they right away shipping, so they're capacity constrained. So for one side, okay, I can save your cost because you're just throwing away. But the one that you throw away, this is a new revenue that you can get. So I think that even it's more strong to come up, and we are looking for ICP's customer, for the right customer that coming from area that there is a lot of demand today. Okay, because I think because the motivation to increase revenue is much stronger than save cost. This is kind of, but both ways are important.
Tell us more about Able Intelligence. What is it about? What are you trying to solve specifically?
Yeah, so we are really focusing on the shortages of the expertise in the production flows. I'm talking about those people that are in the manufacturing for more than 20 years. They know by looking, they understand what parameter they need to set. They see the failure before they are coming. They know how to deal with troubleshoot issues. They are really critical and important in the line. And as I mentioned before, they are scarcing. It's very hard to get, this is different generation. It's very hard to get people in production. There are some, I heard some VP of operation from US company told me that 40% of the people are leaving after 3 months of the new operators that are hiring. So it's amazing. The attrition is issue. So this is the problem that we are tackling. And the way we are doing that, we design an edge device, okay, which is essentially there is computers with models and with connectivity to the sensors. We are connecting into the sensor of the line, of the critical machine in the line, of the camera. And from that, we start with observing. We're observing what the operators are doing. We can see what change they did with the setup. We're understanding why they are doing that. We are looking on the video, if there is video, to see what they are doing, or at least to get some indication about what product came up from that. We are taking all that in order to learn the knowledge of the operator. This is the most important part because we want to be kind of the brain of the manufacturing. After a few months that we are learning what they are doing, we start to be kind of a co-pilot. We would like to advise them what to do. You need now to change the temperature because there is some issue with the melting or all that stuff. We are learning what to do, and we start as a co-pilot, and then we empower the employee. Even if you're not expert, you get the brain of expert, the knowledge of expert that help you to get the right decision. And the next step is to do autonomous. Okay, once there is enough trust, we can do some of the active action, not all, because still there will be a human in the loop. But some of the activity we can do autonomously and leave the operators to do the other stuff, more time to do other important stuff that probably the human aid or the other, they can replace them. So this is essentially what we are doing.
You're bringing more automation into the line. Do you have any value I understand the value for a production line that's 15, 20 years old. Company building a new production line will generally put automation and put all the latest inside the line when he builds it. Are you offering anything in that perspective?
Yeah, so even if you're putting we are focusing on brownfield, okay? We are focusing on an existing line. And the reason for that, because the gap that we can uncover, or at least the gap we can close of the knowledge is huge. The value we can bring is huge. But if you think about it, if you're building a new manufacturing and still there are human in the loop, and you still are count on expertise, this is the right place for us also to be. And we are not just an automation company, okay? We obviously you're getting some automation. We would like to be the brain of the manufacturing. It's much more than that. We want to really to help them to do the transformation from existing the way they're doing it today for a full AI manufacturing. It cannot be in one day. There is a transition, there is a process, and we want to be a large part of it. So we are focusing on brownfield, but still, if you didn't build a dark manufacturing without people, we still can be valuable for that.
Are you connecting to individual machines right now? Do you have something at the factory level that you also connect and are able to affect processes, going from one station to another on the line, or are you only working right now on the smaller part, which is individual machines? In order to do what you said, You need to have something at the, overall level of the factory. So are you're aiming for that?
Yes, we are starting with focusing on a specific line, okay, not just one machine. But if you think about most of the line, like let's take extrusion, which is one of the process that we are focusing. The main action or the most important part is the extruder itself, okay? Maybe there is some dryer after. We are taking data from all the places that operators is manipulating. So essentially, we're going into the raw material, we're taking the raw material, we're going into if there is any attribute or data that we can take from that. We are connecting to the extrusion itself, taking all the parameters of the extrusion, but also for the inspection. Okay, if you have a camera or something that say this is a good product or a bad product, we need also to connect to that. So essentially, we are connecting to the most important part of the line. So yes, we are looking for the line, but you ask a good question. In a plant, there are several lines. There can be 10 lines, there can be 5 lines. You want to be the brain, you need to orchestrate all together.
Assembly, for example, you go from one station to the next, and each one has its own machinery. At the end, you want a finished product, but in the middle, you have one part gets assembled and the next part. And who are you going on the upper level above that you're monitoring that as well?
We are focusing on process manufacturing, not in assembly. Okay, we
Yeah.
are on continuous flow of material. So it can be food, it can be plastic, it can be chemical, it can be wood, whatever is done with the process manufacturing. Assembly, it's not something that we are focused. Maybe in the future it's something to think about that because they're also using brain, but we are really focusing on the process manufacturing. So in that aspect, we are looking on the entire line. Maybe we are not looking. Maybe in the future we also look on downstream and upstream even more, where you are getting the raw material and processing that you are doing for the raw material.
Amazing. Where do you see the company being in 5 years?
Well, we see ourselves as, I think the technology today is amazing and the opportunity is amazing. And we believe that in 5 years from now, we will be a significant part of the day by day of tens to hundreds of plants worldwide, focusing on North America, which where we aim to grow, but especially on maybe a medium-sized business, those family-owned business that there are plenty of those that producing, maybe 100 to 500 million dollars product a year, and they have maybe 200 to 1,000 employees, but they are really, really seeking for the ability to go to the next level. So this is where we see ourselves.
I also see that as a very important area, the more private manufacturers. There are many more of those than people realize, especially in the middle of the United States. Iftach, I want to thank you. Very interesting. I wish your company a lot of success, and I'll be watching.
Yeah. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.